Hello, this is Oliver Grawart speaking from Canonical. We are today introducing our secure display solution for digital signage that we worked on with Screenly. And my name is Oliver Grawart from Canonical, and I want to introduce you to Viktor Petersson from Screenly. Hello, Victor.
Hey, Gra, how you doing? My name is Viktor Petersson. I'm the co-founder of Screenly. We've done digital signage for the last decade. I'm going to dive into this a bit more later on in the talk, but we've been working with Canonical for the last 5+ years now on building a secure digital signage platform. And if you go to the next slide, Gra, please. It should come to no surprise for people in this room that screens are everywhere these days. In QSR, you find them in menu boards, you find them for promos, you find them for self-checkout, you find them everywhere, basically. And unfortunately, we often find them in this state. Next slide, please. Compromised either for fun or for profit in the case of ransomware. And this is something that should really worry listeners on this call, because we've started to see an increased amount of these attacks, in particular in the case of ransomware, that cost companies not only a PR disaster, but can also cost a significant amount of money. That's why we have devoted this talk today about security and how to select and how to actually build a secure operating system. And when we take a step back, if you go to the next slide, please, it doesn't really matter if it's a digital signage display, if it's a vending machine or self-checkout counter. The reality is that these devices are largely the same. The only thing that really differs between them is what set of peripherals are connected to them. So in the case of a self-checkout counter, you would have a touchscreen, you would have a receipt printer and a credit card reader, most likely. But compared it to a digital signage device, it's basically the same thing without the receipt printer, touchscreen, and credit card reader. This is why we are excited about this talk about how we can provide a secure solution for all these use cases and essentially building a secure screen operating system. And Olga will now take on and dive into the more security details of what this actually means. So over to you, Olga.
Right, so let's take a look at the operating system underneath. You might have heard of Linux, you might have heard of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the number one Linux since about 20 years, used everywhere, in clouds, in servers, on desktops, and lately also in industrial and digital signage and so on. And as you can see, there's many users of Ubuntu. And specifically for digital signage, we developed Ubuntu Core. Ubuntu Core is a very special flavor of Ubuntu that is completely built out of our new Snap package system. Snap packages are actually cryptographically signed read-only file system images that contain your application or your OS parts. They are updated transactionally. So if there is any error during an upgrade, these packages will automatically roll back to the former version. So you don't have to actually worry about your display being always on. With a cryptographically signed read-only nature, you don't have to worry about tinker-proofness. The system is absolutely tinker-proof. All applications run in a confined space, so they cannot break out. Nobody can hack into them, and you cannot actually add ransomware or explicit pictures to your system. For the developers, we offer a tool called Snapcraft that will enable you to very easily package your applications for the Ubuntu Core system. To give you full control about adding and removing and updating apps. So we offer you an app store that your OS actually attaches to, and Ubuntu Core comes out of the box with 10 years of full security support. On top of Ubuntu Core, we offer you a system that is driving your display that we call Ubuntu Frame. It is also secure by design as the OS is. It uses the standard Wayland protocols, but you can use X11 on top of that. It comes with easy configuration. It is deployed through snap packages, so it updates itself easily and rolls back if there's any error. And it comes with the same 10 years of support by Canonical as the OS does. Now, whether you develop in Flutter, Qt, HTML, or in any other toolkit, all these toolkits can be used on top of Ubuntu Frame to display your content. So handing back over to Victor.
Thank you, Grawart. So Screenly, as I alluded to in the start, has been around for about 10 years, or actually over 10 years, and we are trusted by the likes of NASA, Lowe's, Amazon, and more for digital signage. And if you go to the next slide, please. And for our regular digital signage solution, we are leveraging all these fancy and really nice security features that Ubuntu Core provides us with. And this in turn allows our customers to be safe and know that their screens are safe and protected against the latest hacks and latest ransomware attacks. So this is something that is phenomenally important particularly for more sensitive customers, and it gives them an easy way to sleep at night knowing that their device are receiving automatically the latest security updates. And if that wasn't enough, some of these customers, they also save money. So in the case of a Synergy, which is a cinema chain in Texas, not only did they receive more secure screens, and they also save money in the process of moving to Screenly. Now, what I want to talk about next is not our generic signage service, but rather our big bet on the future, which aligns very well with Canonical's bet on the future. And Ogre, if you go to the next slide, please. And that is the thesis that developers will be the most important decision makers in the coming decade. What that means is that developers will select solutions based on how good the developer experience is, amongst other things. And that's really what we have provided with our new solution called Edge Apps. And with Edge Apps, next slide, please, we allow customers to build powerful applications, much like the one that Ogre already covered, but it sits on top of Ubuntu Core and makes it very easy for customers to build. And I'm going to dive into that in a second, what that actually means and how quickly customers can build the go-to-market. Next slide, please. And if you take a step back and look at the custom solutions that are built for, say, wayfinding or for QSR in general with self-checkout, the value that these screens drive is what lies in the actual application. Everything else below that, the application distribution, device management, operators, all this is critical busy work. Now, if you neglect this critical busy work, you are very likely to be compromised and have attacker take over your screens, either for fun or, in worst cases, for profit. And they can cost you not only massively on marketing to do a cleanup campaign for these, but it can literally get into your back system. And that has happened multiple times in the history of signage, where they've used devices to get into the rest of the system, which is why we have worked so closely with Canonical on building this framework. Next slide, please. Over the last decade, we built a digital signage solution, and we joke about having built the most over-engineered solution in the market. But next slide, please. The good thing with this is that based on our framework and all the engineering work we've done around that, we can now offer end users an environment to build their applications, something that you cannot do otherwise. And this will shave off significant amount of time for developers when they want to build something to go to market with. And we can build applications in regular HTML and deploy them to these screens in record time. Next slide, please. A good example of this is a company called Trax. It's a UK-based company that provides customer survey services for QSR and restaurants and hospitality. They've built an Edge app in a day that leveraged their platform. And you can see an example of that here on the left. This might not seem very fancy. It's just an image with a QR code on. But if we peel back the layers, it's a lot more sophisticated than that. This QR code is dynamically generated on the actual device thanks to the Edge app runtime environment. When a customer scans this QR code, we can automatically track where this QR code was scanned. Not only the store, but you can also determine what exact screen it was scanned on, which means that we can bridge the gap between the physical world and the virtual world in an easy way. If you were to deploy this on screens across an entire country, all you need to do is build a single Edge app, and by the features built into the framework, it will be out of the box customized for the particular screen, and you can get this beautiful analytics built in out of the box. But that's just scraping on the surface of what you can build with Edge apps. But with that, I want to hand over to Ogra and talk about other use cases that they've built on top of Ubuntu Frame.
Right. So Canonical, the company behind Ubuntu, has actually worked with several other companies that do digital signage on the counter and for their vending and for their point of sales systems. And one of these is Greggs. Greggs is a giant British chain of bakeries that is spread all over Great Britain. And they are using Ubuntu Core and Ubuntu Frame natively to do their point of sale systems. So you can have a little touch screen to type in all your orders and pay them there. And they use Ubuntu Core and Ubuntu Frame as well for all their advertisement screens. Greggs have their own applications that run on top of Ubuntu Core. And they have a central fleet management that manages all the Ubuntu Core devices centrally. So all these applications have been rolled out across about 2,500 stores with over-the-air updates, or with full secure or disk encryption and full secure application setups over a private IoT app store from Canonical using Ubuntu Core. And this is it. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, Ogra.